We're going to start with roll call. Commissioner Yowler.
Here.
Commissioner Rosales. Judge Shaw's here. Commissioner Schindel.
Here.
Commissioner Hummel.
Here.
Carol Sweezy with the County Clerk's Office.
Here.
Please stand and join us for opening prayer and stay standing for the flag.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for all our blessings. Thank you for the recent rains. Thank you that we've been spared from severe weather. Some was. We thank you for the protection of our troops that we have. We ask that you bless them wherever they are in the world. We ask that you be with us today, help them make proper decisions for the county. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 5 is citizens to be heard.
I have 3. The first one is Lucy Del, is it Reza?
I've not been a public speaker for a long time. I'll try to get to the point. I made a few notes because we didn't have a whole lot of time from the time we found out that this was going to be held today. This issue has been brought up before, and it was told to us that it was not going to come up again, or it was kind of going to be put on the table for a while. Anyway, I contacted, as you can see on your attachment, that Mr. Foster very brilliantly and efficiently made for you on your attachment A. My property lies adjacent to Mr. Foster's, and that property has been in my family for almost a century. It was given to me by my mother and to her by her mother. So it's been a long time in the family. I have contacted my sisters who had property adjacent to mine. That little section there, I don't have a lot of property, but I guess it still entitles me to say what I have to say. In what I understand, and I have not had a lot of time to see where we're talking about closing or partial closing, it is not clear to me yet. What frightens me and almost brings me to tears is that we seem to be wanting to change something that's been there for centuries. We know that change and death are the only 2 things we can count on. And we know that river is going to keep on running. It's going to keep eating away at our property. It has on ours. And years ago, one of the commissioners came to my father's home, to our home, and asked us if we would be willing to donate or let them move the road into a field, which took up some acreage for us. And my dad said, whatever you need to do, you do. So school buses and UPS trucks and all of that was coming through there at that time. That's not to say they won't someday again come through there, but the point is, I'm at a dead-end road. When this is closed, I'm at a dead-end road. And somehow that just really frightens me, because I have always had the privilege of going 2 ways. Water has come up, we've had to go in from the Rungy side, which is up there on the upper right-hand side. We've had to come in that way because the bottom side, down here at the bottom, if you see, we're at the lower end of that road, the very bottom of that road. The water comes up there, we can't go that other way. If there's a low water crossing, it fills up. If you've been there, you see that the water and the river have eaten away more and more. Even that property that my daddy let them use for a county road back then.
Ms. Reza, that's 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank God we got here through the vote. And thank you for letting me speak. Thank you.
Leroy, and I don't know how to say the last name.
Landry.
Say that again?
Landry.
Landry. Okay.
My name is Leroy Lane Greeley. Mrs. Grace is my sister. I run cattle on this property. I also have property on 885, which is on the other side of the closure. With this road being closed, would add extra mileage to me to check and feed my cattle, move equipment. I need to go around and get on 81, which with hay balers or whatever is not a real good thing to do. And the possibility of, when it is closed, more than likely it's going to become a dumping ground, which almost every dead-end road ends up being. The other thing is, I don't think that Mr. Foster or anybody else considered is there is a South Texas Electric power line goes through, and if that gets closed, you're cutting them off from their easement. There's also a double pipeline that is down there next to where he's talking about closing, which is hard for them to, going to be hard for them to come maintain on a dead-end road. The South Texas Electric line is a main transmission line, and there's no telling how many places they would need to go through to get, if they're going to stay on their easement, to get to a pole that's broke off there at the river, if that part is closed. Basically, that's all I have to say.
Board Patton?
Ward, are you here to speak on your item, or are you here as a citizen?
Yes, Judge, if you will allow me to
I think
speak to the court.
I think I actually had you author your item, Ford. You did. So you can just, you don't have to do it as a citizen.
Okay, thank you.
That's all, Judge.
Thank you. You know what, since we're already on the road thing, I might as well finish it. Let's go to number, tell me where we're at here. Number 14, discuss, approve, disapprove, to permanently close and vacate that section of County Road 122 as described in boundary survey. Please see attachment A. And that's you, Mr. Foster.
Thank you. I'm Kenneth Foster. I live 5.5 miles south of Rungy on County Road 122, the road in question. Thank you all for allowing me to come here before you this morning and discuss this and ask for action. I'm here to request you permanently close and vacate a section of County Road 122. I would like to briefly review a couple of issues that I've spoken to you about individually supporting this request. First, for the County Commissioners Court, it's an issue of public safety. Second, it's a county maintenance expense that is no longer necessary and is probably going to get far more expensive if you continue to maintain it. It's a loop road south of Rungy with both ends of the loop returning to Highway 81. Our land is situated at the base of the loop, meaning that it's about equidistant back to Rungy. I'm giving you a map today to better locate that area for you, and it's in your packet. It's not the best map in the world, but I took it off the computer and kind of colored it up a little bit so you could maybe see the blue is the San Antonio River, if you have that page. And the yellow is the loop, indicates the loop all the way back to Rungy. I actually measured this road from Mr. Landry's entry gate, and going on the east side, it's 7.6 miles into Rungy to where the two roads divide. If you go around by the area that I want closed, it's 7.4 miles. So it's 2 miles, 2/10 difference in the mileage back into town. County Road 122's original purpose was to serve the Hargraves Bridge that was out there, which has spanned the San Antonio River for a very long time. But upon the destructive vandalizing of the bridge, that use ended. It can't be reused. It's been condemned. The school used it as a bus route. That ended years ago. There's only 2 families, myself and Ms. Lau lives around on the other side, and she uses access the other way, as far as I know. I furnished you a letter in regards to school bus route in the first packet I gave you. I'm coming to you today because I think it's a necessity that all that road as a loop has long since ended. I think the biggest safety and liability issue the county and I have is Shorey's Bluff. And I've included you a picture of that bluff again. In fact, 2 pictures. One showing my vehicle parked on the edge of it, up at the top left, the blue pickup. The second one I took looking down my fence. If you can make out the steel post, Stormy Rosette built that berm that fence is sitting on. And if you look at the right side of the berm, it's already eroding into the river. And I don't know how long that berm has been there, but it seems to me like it's 5, 6, 7, 8 years that berm has been there. And that's all that's protecting people from going over that side. It's now eroded eastward to a point it's within 5 to 10 feet of the edge of the county roadbed. The protective berm, Stormy Rosette Place, is plunging. To keep people from plunging over the bluff is now falling into the river, and the fence I installed to do the same is very near to falling in as well. I measured the depth of the fall if you went over the edge. If a citizen loses control of his vehicle and plunges over the side, it's nearly 60 feet straight down to the surface of the water. I didn't elect to try to see how deep the water was there, but it appears to be pretty deep. I feel certain if one of those circumstances occur, someone loses control, you and I will be hearing about someone's tragic death. At a San Antonio Jim's restaurant, unknown to the restaurant staff and while customers were eating, a drug deal went bad in the parking area. Shots rang out. One of the eating customers was struck by an errant bullet and killed. A court found Jim's was liable to the tune of $18 million for an event happening that they weren't even aware of in their parking lot. I don't know if the county is liable for dangers on the county road, but an attorney told me this is an example of my liability in event something happened along that river. And it wasn't only about that bluff, but the trespassers go in all the time and fish, and I don't know anything about it. So I'm in the same situation really that Jim's restaurant is. And that area of the river is secluded. You can't really oversee it. You never know who's down there because the county road passes through, and there's just because of the geography out there, you can't see it. Since I've lived there have been one driver lose control near the bluff, and in his case, thankfully, he veered out in the opposite direction from Shorey's Bluff through my 8-wire fence, looped around, and passed back through the fence in a different place to find the road again. A second person lost control of his vehicle just past the bluff, thankfully, and drove through the fence on the riverside, plunged down 2 embankments, and landed at the water's edge, unhurt, thankfully. I am furnishing you the photo there, showing you the pictures of that. There are other issues for those of us who live out there. The section we want closed and vacated is secluded and therefore convenient for trespass and illegal hunting. I've handed you a letter from my neighbor, and that's in your packet today. My neighbor is Thomas Ebner. They're from Houston. They could not be here today, but I won't go into that letter except to say that they found a deer feeder in their pasture of all things that they didn't put there, and 6 deer carcasses are scattered around. Apparently they were tolling in deer and just shooting them for the pleasure of it. A lot of beer cans in the area, and no idea who did it. With the photo evidencing the most outlandish trespass, illegal hunting activity, and meaningless slaying of deer, and then abandonment of their carcasses. Law enforcement officers have told me that there's been plenty of illegal activities along this secluded section of County Road 122. The remoteness and the fact that it's a loop road really seem to encourage these activities. And trash dumpers. I have previously furnished you with photo evidence of dumping. So the fact that it's dead end or a loop road, I think, doesn't affect trash dumpers. If they can get secluded, we've had it going on us all the time out there, the dumping. Sometimes we catch them and sometimes we don't. We have posted a signed petition as required by law in all the places we were required to do it, which I furnished you a copy of that petition. We have performed a survey by professional engineers as required by law, and now I come before you to ask you to unanimously vote to permanently close and vacate that road as per the laws of the state of Texas, and end the liability exposure and maintenance issues for the county, and similar grief for those of us who live out there. Judge Shaw and Commissioners, thank you very much for allowing me to bring this matter in.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
You're welcome.
Mr. Busman, this is all legal, it's everything.
I have met with Mr. Foster on, I think, 2 occasions that we talked about it, and he had also talked to another attorney. And it looks like it's no problem to me. In fact, probably done a favor, because I know that you cannot build, if you own some property, you cannot build a berm or a tank dam close to a roadway, because of the people going through and get winding up in the drain. So this thing is going to become, or could become, a liability at some point in time, because it is, you can tell it's eroding away. And probably Mr. Foster is going to be doing the county a favor also.
So if someone got injured down there or something, we're held liable for being the county, or?
You could be, yes. It doesn't mean, not necessarily that you would be, but you could be. That's about the strongest I can give you, but it's not a good situation like it is. You need to put up some signs or something.
There's no way that, like, they could work out a deal where they could put gates on each end, where if this fellow wanted to drive through to his other place, he could?
I don't see why not, because it's
And give
land
access
owned.
to like the electric companies and stuff like that.
Right, but is that going to really solve the problem, or is that going to be, you're gonna have to almost close the road in order to do that, so they have the right to do that between themselves.
I was just asking.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's, I don't know, if they can do that if the road is closed. They can do a private contract if they want to.
The electric company already has access through my property by use of locks. They have their own locks on my gates, and they're able to pass through.
So I think that, I don't think there's a problem with that.
Where are the locks that they've got on them gates?
On the gate down there close to you, they've got a lock on that gate for one.
That's where you close it now.
Well, they'll move the front gate, I suppose. They'll still have access to
They'll
it.
be off of the right of way.
They have it through mine too, so.
Have right away?
Pipeline and electric.
Through yours, Randy? They have it through, they have access, the pipeline, they can go
Oh,
through
yeah.
you, and you'll
All
give them
the time.
access?
All the time.
I don't see a problem with it if they have access.
But they'll have access. They have the right of eminent domain, so they'll be able to keep access. If there's a
Yeah,
problem.
and no matter what, right, Bob?
What are you talking about? Aren't you in here?
You got it turned up a little high, Bob.
I ain't touched it.
They got a way out.
And then it's-
I learned to swim.
From a legal standpoint, I don't see anything wrong with closing that road. I think that all the Ps and Qs have been complied with. And it's, anytime you close the road, it's going to just create a little problem for somebody, but this is.
Please, let's not have mumbling in the courtroom, please.
I just cut it off after 3 minutes.
So Bob, as far as legally and all the obligations have been met,
Well, he's put
it's
up
been
notices.
surveyed,
Put up the notice, it's been surveyed.
notices.
We've got pictures, more pictures than we've ever had on any road closing as long as I've been here.
You know, my thoughts are, if it was a dead-end road, people are less likely to go down there, criminals, dump in, whatever, because there's one way in, there's one way out. So if the sheriff's deputies cruising down there, they're trapped. Now, whether it's open, they gotta wait, and that's why they build all these subdivisions these days. If, they build them with dead ends because for that very reason. For burglars and whatnot, there's one way in and one way out. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the permanent closing and vacation, to close and vacate that section of County Road 122 as described in the boundary survey. Please see attachment A.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I do want to ask one question for Mr. Landgrave. Could you live with being able to unlock that gate and drive through there?
Well, the next problem is gonna be maintaining it, you know.
You won't be maintained.
There's no, let's say like a half to 3/4 mile through that same place where the river is eating his land up. I'm supposed to maintain the road that the county can't afford to keep up. I mean, it's not just having a lock to unlock, it's getting through it.
Well, it wouldn't be maintained, but you wouldn't be driving through it when it's flooding anyway, when it's weather.
Well, if you
Go
look,
around from the
if you look
direction.
at the pasture out there, it's pretty well grown up, you know, it would be, take shredding and so forth to find a road through there.
And
Okay, I
could
just-
I make one more comment? I don't know what time is up, but may I?
Go ahead.
We don't have anybody living down there right now, but I see into the future. I have 2 daughters, 6 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren who come down there and hopefully will appreciate it and enjoy coming there and learning about the history and all of that stuff. So there's not to say that we're talking permanent closure of something that, you know, I could very well have a grandson living there, or I've got 2 sisters right next to me, adjacent to me, who have children who go up there and build fence, hunt hogs, they barbecue, we enjoy the area, and we've never even thought about not having 2 accesses. I remember the old stories where the water jumped over at Shorey Bend, my mother always called it, and came around the other side. And you better have that other way going out up to 885, because you can't get out the other way. That water comes through there fast and you're cut off. That's my only entrance, is right down there next to Mr. Foster's, where he's saying to cut it off. That's my only entrance to my property. So I'm gonna have to come all the way down. Well, of course, there's no vandals down there. There's no.
Okay.
I beg to
Okay,
differ.
let's stop. We're done. You had a motion made, seconded, all in favor with aye. What did we have there?
You had 4 and 0.
4 and 0. Is there any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Number 15 is to discuss, approve, disapprove the shorten from end to end the county road. You can take no action on number 15. Number 14 is done.
Thank you all.
We can go back to number 6, which is going to be review prices, brands, and possible action and selection of game cameras. It's presented by Commissioner Carl Hummel. And I authored that by Mr. Hummel. Carl brought in a bunch of pictures of game cameras and stuff that's in your package.
He did not leave mine over there with me. I know it's showing it to you. I think I left my copy over there.
Just maybe if you have it, I'll probably have one in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's in that statement.
It's in here, Carl. I put it in here. Might have to borrow James for a second.
Now listen to the one I had, because mine was,
Yours is colored, Carl.
yeah, mine was, the home church ransom piece.
Here it is. It says Caleb's on top and then Mocher or something like
I
that.
just had.
That's okay. You want James's?
Yeah,
Take
give
this, Carl.
him James's.
Give me that back so I can follow along.
Okay, give this to me. Okay, now.
Let's go James's.
Okay, on these game cameras.
Okay, is somebody's phone going off maybe?
Now, just need to, this thing is really turned up high. But, here it is, Pete. The color comes.
You finally found yours.
They vary quite a bit in price, anywhere from nearly $400 down My thoughts on this is that get one that probably doesn't flash, isn't that right, Sheriff? Don't you think? Get one that doesn't have that white flash.
We don't need to go for a speed camera.
Right, right, so we probably gonna need something infrared, and it costs a little bit more. And that's really not all that noticeable, they tell me. The infrared is just like a cigarette butt glowing in the dark, and then it goes out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's, only thing bad, every kind of movement, everything you do a movement, that little red light will come on. That's all they want to see. You got it kind of hidden pretty good, because it's not a flash, it's just a red movement. If you're looking over in that direction, you see a little red light come on, but it does not give off a flash. So that's, every piece of movement that you do will trigger that camera.
But if you're not looking directly at that red light, you're probably not gonna see it.
Probably not. You can set it up high enough, you know, have an eyesight, you have to be looking up. If you can kind of maybe tilt them down. I mean, like I said, people won't be doing anything, they're gonna be kind of focused on what they're doing. They're not gonna be looking up, especially out in the country or at a residence or something like that.
Not only that, but I mean, if we get these better cameras, I would like to try to prevent them from being stolen, like maybe put them in some kind of steel box. I don't know.
Well, they're waterproof, they're all that stuff, you put a steel box on them, Carl, it's gonna be obvious. They're kind of either, you can get the kind of camouflage, which is better if you talk about putting them in the, out here in the country or whatever. Anything outside of the look of nature, but you put a steel box up, they're gonna out, you understand? And they're waterproof, they're shockproof, they're everproof.
We'd have to find a hollow part of that tree to put it in there.
And like I said,
I think we look around to see if there's a better kind.
But would there be a way to maybe like secure it to something? Because I know down in Rockport, we have people stealing our stuff all the time, and even out at the ranch. Would there be a way for us to secure it without a box, maybe with like a chain and something? I mean,
But
is
they
there a
can,
way
they can still
to?
get there. If they want to, if they don't, they would just tear it up. Bingo, if they find something that's like that, they just tear it up. Take a hammer or a piece of wood and beat it up anyhow, so that's a given. You know, if you turn around, if you have it there for that one deal, you know, for security for X amount of time, if you leave there long enough and people keep coming back and forth, we hope to have it done before then. You know, we're talking something a short period of time, no more than maybe a week or 10 days. We're gonna get the images of what's going on in that location. After that, you need to move it anyhow. Simple.
I see Chief DeBose is back there as well. Between the two of y'all, like these cameras that have the capability to upload these pictures constantly, live feed, you know, you can pull it up on your cell phone or your computer or what have you.
Yeah.
So if they were to steal the camera, we still got the pictures online.
Simple. It is, all it is, it costs just a little, costs more than going out there and taking actually the cartridge out. It actually costs more when you do a live feed to your computer.
We've had a game camera. We bought one many years ago. We had some problems at the park, and we stationed the camera up at the park, and we caught a lot of stuff. We also caught the two juveniles that were breaking the light bulbs, which is the whole purpose we put it out there for. So, I mean, they do work, but they're not a long-term. I mean, you put them out there for a couple hours, a couple days, then you move them. And you do run the risk of somebody, I mean, it's an infrared camera. I mean, animals don't see it, but humans will see the light. A little light comes on for about half a second. So, I mean, that's kind of an issue on these cameras and the game cameras you buy at stores. The cameras you're talking about are something completely different. And the only thing with the monitoring the pictures is you got to buy an air card. And so you're talking, you know, government contract, $45, something like that a month for an air card. And then you just move it around. You can move it around and around. I mean, those are a little bigger. I mean, it's not something you're necessarily going to be hiding, but you can try to put them in boxes or wherever, utility-looking boxes and things like that. I mean, they do have a good purpose. We've used it throughout the city on many cases.
My office has a one that I bought for when I got a grant for the government office. And it's an infrared, or you can program it to also be a regular camera. And when it has a number of LED in there, and when they take it at night, those LEDs just kind of go on and off. It's not bright, but if you're looking at it, you can see it. And I'll be happy to loan that thing to you. I've used it playing, I bought it for different purposes. It's in my office now, and I have chips for it, so I'll be glad to loan that to you, provided I can give it back.
What if somebody steals it, Bob?
Well, if we aren't gonna leave them at a specific location for very long, I don't see the need for the extra expense of the
Well,
downloading
are
of
you
it.
talking about, like, you have certain targeted areas, or you plan on
You ever
moving
seen
it? How
that?
often do you plan on moving it?
Right, we have to, be my thoughts is kind of find out where our hot spots are and put our cameras up there. And then, like we say, you know, get some pictures of some people, give them to the sheriff, let him do his thing, then we move them. But, you know, we have 4 precincts, I don't, you know, I would certainly want one in my precinct, he would want one in his. I think that's kind of a fair way to do
But
it.
Carl, you're pretty much talking about illegal dumping, right? Is that what
Right,
you're
that's
talking about
right.
now? About illegal dumping? I've got a good place right now we can put one up. Going out to Shelby, Texas, you know?
That on County Road 125?
You got it.
That is illegal.
I found a hot tub out there the other day, I was first, you know, I drive out there, there's a fire, there's a hot tub there.
Pick it up, does it work?
And when I moved it out, somebody wouldn't run over, I got it out of the truck and moved it back up to the fence.
See, something like that, if there was a refrigerator or maybe a stove or something, maybe we could put it inside there. They would never.
Just don't do a refrigerator, because scrap people come by and pick up. Got back a little bit further down.
Well, you know, Pete earlier mentioned that possibly they have decoys that look like a real camera, but it's not, it's just a shell. Do they make those?
Is that in there, Bob? Is it in there?
But it,
And I think
This is
that's,
the camera. Well, you can do that, but like I said, they probably don't cost almost as much as these cameras, they don't cost $69, $70 for the little game cameras, and that's all you're gonna lose, is that $69, $70 investment. If you get out there and you catch some images on it, you know, daylight, and you're gonna need infrared anyway, this stuff is doing daylight, dark, and all this kind of stuff. So if you keep it out there 2 or 3 days, go out there and nonchalant, have like a road bridge guy, maybe do a drive-by, pick it up, come back, because they should be on that road working, instead of having patrol deputy drive down in there. You know, we stop, get out, go to the sun, everybody's watching, you know, you never look at a road bridge person. You know, being out there working around, picking up stuff.
Would it be better, Carl, if you got your committee together and then y'all decided what y'all wanted, and then you just let us know, and then we helped you? And that way you could ask them all these questions and.
one,
you're-
my committee member is here. I don't know about Mark. Is she here?
All right, I don't think we can decide today exactly what equipment we're gonna buy, discuss it for 4 hours, we can't decide. So I think what we need to decide on is how much we want to spend. Let's set a limit, like, we're gonna spend from $199 to $400 for a camera for something. So we have to decide what amount we're gonna spend. They're not gonna stay in one place all the time, so we don't need 10 of them for the county. We probably need 3 of them, maybe, and move them to different places, different times. So if you have an idea of what price you want, I'm gonna put the figures, and we'll see if we approve that much to spend for equipment.
Well, do you wanna get together with your committee? We can take no action under 6, but Luana, can we go ahead and give him a budgetary amount to work with, or do we need the prices of the exact cameras he's gonna pick?
We
Then
need
get him.
the prices
You
of
wanna
the
do that?
cameras to be able to do a budget.
What do you think, Ms. Moore? You think we ought to kind of get together and we'll all talk about it and
Maybe
see?
we need to get, like, if other representatives from the community, you have, the other commissioners have their representatives, and we can have a committee meeting and decide that.
Tracy has his, and, I mean, you guys can start, and if nobody from those other 2 precincts volunteers or whatever, the people that we have can go ahead and move forward.
Yeah,
What
these
do you
2
think?
precincts here.
I'll be glad to do whatever we need to do, just so we know.
Thanks, Ms. Moy.
I think that there's a definite need, and that's it. Those game cameras are a start, and I just think that there's a lot of other issues along the way that can help us. I wonder how people, I went up to my mom's on Monday, and between my house and my mother's house, or Alexander Ford on the highway, there were probably 4 in different areas. I'm talking big bags, somebody's garbage for the week of trash in the median. Now, whether they're falling out of the back of the pickups and how can you do that without whatever, but, you know, we really need to do some work on not just those big things, that dumping, but just even as much as, you know, the plastic bags is making us, we need to get our community looking nice again, whatever it's gonna take. Whether it be ban on plastic bags in the county and go back to paper bags, and not put a package of gum in a white Walmart sack. I don't think that dumping's coming from, with those bags, are coming from people that are taking their groceries home. That's not what it's coming from, because those people are carrying their groceries home. That's coming from a little bit of something in a bag and then just letting those bags go before they even get in their car. And they're everywhere.
So as far as the number 6 is concerned, I guess we'll just.
No action? Just committee?
Well, what, Carl, can you call a meeting, aren't you gonna be the chairman of that?
Yes,
Can you call a meeting and we can,
You're representing our precinct, and then Ms. Sparks, Netta Sparks, she's representing precinct 4. And you,
I have some suspect, but I don't have.
Not prospering suspects.
okay, well, I'll tell you what, as soon as you and James find somebody in your precinct, and whoever has a problem, like, you know, Miss Moy, she has a problem, Miss Sparks, those are people that are gonna wanna be on this committee. And so, and I'm not, there's gotta be somebody in your precinct, and James is, it's kind of hard. Hers, it was really easy because I drive past her house all the time, and she's always here, and she wanted to help, so that was really easy for me. Yours may not be that easy, but, anyway, we'll take no action. You find somebody, James find somebody, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. You want to,
Number 7 is to discuss approve, so it's no action on number 6. Carol?
Number 6 is just review.
Yes, ma'am.
And number 7 is what you want no action on, correct?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't get, number 7 is discuss approve amending the budget to purchase game cameras for the litter control project, and we'll take no action until Carl can meet with this committee. Number 8 is to discuss disapprove appointing Brenda Yanisak as interim tax assessor collector effective July 1st, 2012 to replace Ann Frankie, who will retire June 30th, 2012. In the order of Mrs. Frankie.
Yes, I'd like to give a brief explanation of why I'm doing this process. Last year when I came to y'all in budget time, and I knew my chief deputy was going to retire this year, I asked for a full-time employee and wanting to make transition very good in our office for the county. Y'all chose to give a part-time help beginning June 1st, which a 4-month part-time help. So in order for the best interest of the county, I feel like I need to retire in order to get Brenda, who at this present time is the only one running for tax collector, into my office to where I can get her familiar, instead of her coming in January the 1st, because I've worked very hard to get this office where it needs to be in every aspect of the office. And this will give her time to come in, and between my chief deputy, who is going to retire in April, it will give Mrs. Janishek time to be familiar with every aspect of that office. So it will be a smooth transition, and I feel like she'll do a very good job. And that's what I'm asking for now. Luana has the interim. She can explain on that.
As far as the wording of the agenda item, the action needs to be during the interim time period, not an interim tax assessor collector. Because if the court desires to appoint Brenda to that position at Ms. Frankie's retirement, Brenda will be the tax assessor collector. It won't be an interim tax assessor collector.
And it won't be any additional money. She'll be taking over my salary.
So during the interim time period, is all you're saying?
Not an interim position, but an interim time
Then
period.
I make a motion that we approve appointing Brenda Yanisak during the interim time period as the tax assessor collector effective July 1st, 2012 to replace Mrs. Frankie, who will retire June 30th, 2012. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? No opposition, motion carries 4-0. Welcome, Brenda. Thank you. Number 9 is, discussion and action authorizing the county judge to execute a reimbursement agreement between Karnes County and Regency Energy Partners for the reimbursement of legal fees incurred by the county in processing an application for the creation of a reinvestment zone in consideration of a tax abatement agreement. What that is, Ray Kroll called me. We have 2 companies wanting to come in. They're wanting, I guess, to create a zone so they can apply for tax abatements. And I guess formerly that was done by having our attorneys work with the people wanting tax abatements and doing it at a reimbursement cost. And to me, it's all just really messy. You guys can figure out what you want to do.
All right, does this mean that these companies will reimburse the Karnes County for their legal fees?
Mhm.
For our legal fees, right?
No, the county would, I guess, Denton Navarro would bill us, and then they would reimburse us. But there has to be an agreement. Those contracts are in here.
Are these people here already?
That's right.
Do they have a bit building up and all that? They want, so they do want an abatement to come here.
Has this ever transpired before?
What?
The reimbursement of legal fees? I don't ever remember seeing anything
Well, I don't-
unless they paid Denton Navarro directly.
Yeah, Ross told me this is how it was done. I don't know, you'd have to ask him. Ray had called me to put it on the agenda, and I had talked to Mr. Busselman, and he said he wasn't part of it the first time, so I called Denton Navarro and I asked him how it was done. And they said there were certain things that needed to be done, and this would be the procedure we need to put on the agenda. This does not guarantee an abatement, this just is to create a reinvestment zone.
How many tax abatements do we have now?
I don't know.
Too many.
Personally, I'm not for any tax abatements. I realize we need businesses here, et cetera, and I don't even know what these people are bringing into us, but these 95% 10-year tax abatements are ridiculous. So I don't know what we're talking about here. I don't have much information on this. What we want to do.
Doesn't the percentage go down, like each year it's 95, 90, 85?
It does
All the way
ratchet
10
down.
years down.
I
50%.
understand that, what that means, but I don't know what this company is bringing or what we're talking about.
Right, but this is just an agreement to reimburse the legal fees.
Yes.
We incur.
The-
So they're
That's if they use our attorneys. They can go out and find their own attorneys to do it, but
So
I mean,
this
if
is
they're gonna
on,
employ 400 or 500 people and invest
So
$2
if this-
million.
I understand this statement here, we're not obligated to any tax abatement agreement if we agree with this for reimbursement of funds, is that correct?
the abatements would be put on there at a later date, Pete.
Right.
In the defense of the report before, at that time, there was hardly nobody here, and they were making these 10-year abatement things to attract some. Whether it worked or not, I don't know, but we have them now, but I don't know that you need the abatement to attract anybody now. Plus, our taxes are gonna be going down.
Well, part of that's probably true and correct, Bob, but if they're gonna put a facility right on the county line, the Karnes County, Atascosa line, well, if you won't give it to them and Atascosa County will, they just move over, 500 feet or whatever, and bang, there you go. So you gotta be really careful when you're talking about stuff like that. I know when Select Energy was talking to the county about their tax abatement, they said, hey, went back and forth, and they said, look, we'll go to Victoria County, if y'all don't wanna do it. And that's a really tough call, because when they're as big as they are, 20 miles one way or 10 miles one way or whatever.
I think the only thing though today is but there's companies a lot bigger than Select in here that haven't asked for anything. A lot bigger, and they moved here willingly on their own, because you know what? You still need ambulance services, you still need police services, you still need the money,
Need more
but
police
that's not
officers.
what's here today, it's just the reimbursement
more
part.
road
There's a lot
drivers.
of companies in here that are huge, they're on NASDAQ, and,
We're not talking about.
so it's just the
tax-
reimbursement agreement today.
Just reimbursement.
Yeah, it's just the reimbursement agreement today.
Okay.
And So it's either we want to execute those, they're in there, you can see a copy of them, Ross prepared them.
Okay, I make a motion to approve action authorizing the county judge to execute a reimbursement agreement with Karnes County and Regency Energy Partners for the reimbursement of legal fees incurred by the county in processing an application for the creation of a reinvestment zone and consideration of a tax abatement.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Barbara's opposed. Motion carries 3-1. Number 10 is going to be discussion and action authorizing the county judge to execute a reimbursement agreement between Karnes County and Energy Transfer Partners of the reimbursement of legal fees incurred by the county in processing an application for the creation of a reinvestment zone in consideration of a tax abatement agreement.
That's the second one.
Uh-huh.
The different companies.
Different companies.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to approve an action authorizing the county judge to execute a reimbursement agreement between Karnes County and the Energy Transfer Partners of the reimbursement of legal fees incurred by the county in processing an application for the creation of a reinvestment zone and consideration of tax abatement.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. No, excuse me, I said aye and I didn't mean to, that was inappropriate. It's 3-1, motion carries 3-1, Barbara's opposed. Carol, if you'll wait, please. Okay, that's gonna take us to number 11 is to discuss, approve, disapprove, correcting proposed Neller Gas Unit Number 1 production sharing agreement, Karnes County, and allow the county judge to execute if approved. This is from Talisman. It's Talisman Energy. Mine's still in the envelope. And all this is the contact numbers reflected on the letterhead of March 8th were incorrect. So the contact numbers reflected on this letterhead are the correct numbers for Talisman Energy. And all it is a change in phone numbers, but it's a contract, so I need your permission to sign it before we approve the change in numbers.
I make a motion to approve correcting proposed Neller Gas Unit Number 1 production sharing agreement with Karnes County, allow county judge to execute if approved.
I'll second.
Sorry, I muted myself. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? No opposition. Motion carries 4-0. Number 12 is discussion and possible action regarding the county contributing toward a stoplight at Walmart in Kennedy, Texas, and that's Carl took his microphone away.
Okay, thank you, Judge, Commissioners, for allowing me to be here this morning. My name is Ward Patton. I'm the city manager in Kennedy. Also with me this morning is Kennedy's mayor, Mr. Randy Garza, city councilman Felipe Leal, and our police chief, Wayne DeVos. Anyway.
Did the city shut down for? Did y'all shut down to come over here?
We did. We just about closed things down to come over and visit with y'all this morning. Several years ago, there was an agreement and a plan in place to install a traffic signal on Highway 181 at its intersection with Business Park Drive in front of the Walmart store. And for various reasons, including traffic counts not justifying the signal at that time, the plan was never implemented, signal was never constructed. Well, as we all know, things have changed in the last couple of years. The traffic has increased many times, and I don't think there's any question that the signal is needed, and TxDOT would agree. Right now, TxDOT does not have funds specifically allocated to construct the signal. They have provided us a construction cost estimate of approximately $600,000. Initially, TxDOT said that they would not fund engineering or design of the project. They have since agreed to do that. And they have indicated that local entities will need to come forward with contributions towards the project in order to fund its construction. So what we are trying to do is secure commitments from the local entities who would like to participate in this project, and then also secure commitments from businesses that might want to participate in the project. Right now, the Kennedy 4B Sales Tax Corporation has already allocated $50,000 towards the project. The Kennedy City Council will consider a budget amendment at its April 10th meeting to add an additional $50,000 to that, to the project. I'm here to ask whether or not Karnes County wants to also join in that team and participate in funding this traffic signal construction. From our discussions with TxDOT, we're reasonably certain that if a significant portion of the construction cost can be raised and commitments can be secured, that TxDOT will then go ahead and proceed to pick up the balance of the cost. Don't know that for certain, but we're optimistic that will be the case.
But they're gonna do all the engineering, correct, for this?
TxDOT has said they will fund the engineering and design themselves.
Initially, they said they wouldn't, but now they said they would. We met about, what, 2 months ago, maybe?
It's been several months.
So TxDOT does not actually do the engineering, an independent firm does that?
I'm not certain. I know as you're talking, oftentimes they do go ahead and contract that out to a private firm. Now, whether or not that's their plan for this
But
project, I
they're
don't
talking about
know.
funding the engineering, I'm just assuming they're gonna go out for.
Could be, could be. And the construction cost estimate is one that they provided based on a similar project. In addition to the traffic signal, there's also a significant amount of pavement work involved to modify that intersection. It's kind of a, well, it's a confused deal as it is. We're fortunate, very good fortune, that we have not had any serious accidents there. I don't know how long our good fortune will last.
How many accidents have we had there, Mr. Pat? There's been quite a few. Chief DeBose, do you know?
The accidents, well, from the city side, we responded because we just took it over probably last year or so. I believe there's probably been about 10 to 11 accidents at the intersection. Now, there's been some that have also tied off of the not necessarily directly related to the intersection. We had some in the bank in that area, but they're, again, all tied to that intersection, the traffic coming off of Business Park.
What other entities are you going to approach for contributions?
Well, as far as public entities, as I say, the city, Kennedy 4B Sales Tax Corporation is going to participate. The city of Kennedy will consider a budget amendments at its April 10th meeting. I'm talking to yourselves, the county now. In addition to that, it will probably be private businesses.
And it's gonna be you doing the soliciting?
Yes. But as much as possible, I did want to find out whether or not the public entities were going to participate in the project. I think that would make a much better presentation to the larger private businesses such as Walmart. We have discussed the project with Walmart and have received a good response. They have certainly made it clear that they don't want to be the Lone Ranger on this project. That's why I would like to be able to say we already have money committed.
Do you have any idea what kind of timeline you're tying to this as far as trying to secure contributions and actual construction?
The construction is a year away. It's a 2013 project, if it's funded and if we can get it going. That is what I've been told. Certainly could possibly change, but that's the indication I can give.
So like if we agreed to make a contribution, we could budget in for next year during budget time, just depending on the type of the amount.
So we're gonna need another thing on here to.
No, we'll just
No,
wait.
because we'll put it in 2013.
Make sure we don't forget.
She's good about that.
Forgetting or remembering?
No, remembering the one, remembering.
You gotta make a motion to approve action regarding the county.
But wait, how much?
50,000. I was getting to that.
I'm sorry, okay.
Well, the last word I said was contributing $50,000 toward a stop light at the Walmart in Texas.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposition, motion carries 4-0.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
for
Board. Well, everybody in the
participating.
county goes to Walmart. I mean, I know it might,
Well,
yeah, if you want to buy something.
it's a good business to have in the community. It certainly generates sales taxes for all of us. So, so we're hoping this will improve things. And we do appreciate your participation. And Judge, I'll stay in touch with you about it.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All those engineers on the text dot door went to A&M, you better watch it.
Sir?
All the engineers that work at text dot is, went to Texas
Randy,
A&M,
thank
so
you
you
for
need to
coming.
watch it.
Oh, I
Thank
know.
you.
I know.
Thank
You gotta be careful with
That's
it.
right.
Thank you guys for coming, appreciate it. Number 13 is going to be discussion and possible action regarding calculation of overtime for law enforcement, and that's Sheriff DeLuca and Mary Ann Sines. No, she's here. She's here. She's over here. Going to Bill
This is Mary Ann Sines, she's with TAC. Some of y'all hadn't met her. I've been kind of meeting her since 2005, I believe, when I first got here. There's the stuff come up, pretty much the same FSLA stuff back in 2005 when I took over. Brought to my knowledge then from a deputy that was not rehired when I came in, that I wasn't fulfilling the obligation which we'll have here today again, from the 160 to 171 hour, I believe.
Okay.
So this is where we're at right now. We've got hold of Mary Ann. I know Vi brought it to our attention by one of my officers, which I've been talking to individuals in the immediate area. I mean, it's law enforcement, and it really is, we're law enforcement, and there is the FSLA, we are doing the minimum amount. That anything over 85 and a half hours, and most of it's supposed to be worked off at one time, get paid one time a month. That's the 171 hours. Okay, anything over 171 hours is time and a half. Between 160 and 171, and it's pretty much per county, that they can either do something for the law enforcement, or if you're big enough county, if it's not under civil service, something like that, they can do something for the fire department. We're strange animals, being in law enforcement. And at this time, been brought that some of my officers would like to have that 160 to 171 if they work 40 hours a week, which I have very few that work 40 hours a week. They work, pretty much 85 and a half hours. Every once in a while they get a little over that, and that's a time and a half, because we pay them, bi-monthly salaries. And when you figure into the salaries that we get, that is broke down pretty much into, you get paid by the month. You get paid pretty much by the hours, but you have to work a certain amount of hours to get paid. That if you don't work that much, then you don't get your paycheck. Kind of a given. Okay. Mary Ann's come in here, and I've had some correspondence back and forth with her. There was a county, Leon County, I believe. She sent me some stuff by email. I've looked at it, and out of all the 3 or 4 counties that she sent me, this is one that would probably suit our needs if deemed the Commissioner's Court that would approve it.
Well, first of all, before we get that far, before we get into a policy, why is law enforcement like this? Thank you, Mary Ann, for driving down, coming through the
Welcome.
soup, the fog, and then asking us to get
Oh, it
here
was
and
fun.
do this for us.
The
It's
drive
well
used to
up
be
there.
real easy, but you're right, it's not the way it was 25 years ago. Because I'm from Corpus, and I lived in Austin, and I would go back and forth.
live trucks on 123.
Yeah, it was great. You're welcome. This is my job, so.
But tell us, okay,
Uh-huh.
so the reason of the 171 with the FLSA for law enforcement, why is it like that?
Well, my job, first of all, is compliance, and
Yeah.
just to explain to you what the law, I brought the regs with me. The Fair Labor Standards Act has an exception for law enforcement and firefighters. It's called a 207K. And they say the governing body, y'all can establish a work period. They're different, and they define what a law enforcement activity is. Your jailers and deputies here would definitely fall under that definition. But what it says is they recognize the need, law enforcement is just different. Sometimes those departments work so many hours in such a short period of time that the entity doesn't have time to manage and control the overtime because it just happens. So you can set forth longer work periods according to the regs than the normal, like the tax office or the treasurer's office. They're 7 days a week, 40-hour, type jobs, and after 40 hours of work there in 7 days, there's overtime. For law enforcement and firefighters, you can work more hours in a certain work period. And I think y'all picked a 14-day work period, right here, the one?
Yes.
Right? They have a 14-day work period. What the reg says is you can work up to 86 before there's time and a half issues. Now, what he's referring to, what Sheriff's referring to, is what they call other time, and there's a reg on that. And depending on the agencies, I've worked in county government for 13 years now. I work West Texas, South Texas, East Texas. It's different everywhere. Some counties will, I know like over in Brewster, which is the largest geographical county in Texas, it's where Big Bend National Park is, and State Park and Alpine. They just work, because they're always on the road. In some counties, they pick the 28-day work period and they just schedule them 160. In a lot of other counties, they say, we're going to give you hour for hour of other time between 160 and 171. Now, there's some caution with this. If you do something like this, the other time, then that would be between 80 and 86, or 80 and 85 and a half, or whatever you want to do here, if you decide. You have to word your policy just right, because you don't want to get in trouble or get the Department of Labor all upset. But to answer your question, Judge, it's in the regs. And it's just different between county and county. I mean, Wharton County, I think, they schedule them, they have a 28-day work period. They pay overtime or comp time after at time and a half after 171. But between 160 and 171, they get like not a straight time, but it's an other time accrual. Now, this other time stuff, I brought the regs and all this, so you'll have it.
And I think y'all, last time when I brought this up, I gave y'all copies of what she sent me.
Right, I sent you some emails. I think I sent you, said please share with the judge. I think I even sent you some stuff. Good. But you can set rules around this other time. You could do stuff like, and I know the state does it differently with DPS. Everyone does it differently. But you could set the rules around the other time because it's set forth, in the reg it says it's a policy, a local policy on how you do it.
So we're not doing anything wrong?
No.
No, no.
And so everything we're doing is fine?
Right, it's just you have to decide what works best here for your county. And that's it. So I've got regs with me. I brought the sample policy from Leon. This was something that they had worked on together. They wanted to do something for their deputies and say, we will try to schedule you in that 28 days, 160 hours. But if you go over that, your salary is intended to cover you up to 171, but we want to give you a little extra between 160
So you're
and
saying that
171.
the salary is intended to cover the 171?
Right, and in your case, it would be up to 85 and a half.
85 and a half.
So in a 14-day work period. So, and if they're over, if they physically work over 85 and a half, it's time and a half after 85 and a half here.
Is that what we're doing right now?
That's what we're doing, and that's what was brought to our attention, that 5.5 hours that they work, that they don't get nothing for per se, but as we talked about before, I mean, there's just a giving right there, but some officers was like, an officer the other day asked how San Antonio does it, and they said anything over this is this, but they get like an hour for lunch. And then, like DPS does it, from that 160 to 171, they give them 1 for 1.
Right.
I mean, that's what we kind of got there, because when I took over in 2005, we went through all this stuff, and that's what we was fighting over 1 for 1, but through all these last 7 years, it's been okay.
But you know, also, we just gave the sheriff department very large raises.
Yes,
larger
ma'am,
than
I really
anybody in
do,
the
I
county
really do
got.
appreciate
Let me
it.
ask you a question, this 171, that includes lunch hour and coffee breaks and
That's
whatever
it.
else? That's all, so they get some time off during that time?
Well, they work a 12-hour shift from, we've got them staggered them right now since
Okay.
y'all so graciously gave me more officers that they go to work at like 6 a.m. to 12.
And we give your department a
It's
lot
called,
of money.
it is called a tour duty, to answer your question. The 171 would be a tour duty deal. So if the sheriff says, on your lunch hour, I want the radio right there,
Yeah.
you get a call, take off, they're working. So it just depends, you know, and like in the larger areas, they say, you know, you are totally off. Don't, you know, we got other people to answer that call. So they do get an hour off, but it depends on how he defines a tour duty for that deputy or jailer. And jailers, I mean, it's easy, they're in a building. For the deputies, that's where it gets hard.
And like I said, when they walk in, they have a radio with them at that time. And if they sit down, you're on call 24/7. Anything happens in the restaurant, anything happens in the parking lot, anything happens in the wreck we have to go to, they kind of leave what their food is on the deal, and they're gone. And that's what I brought Mary Ann down here. We hadn't done nothing wrong.
Right.
We just, here we go. I'm asking for my department to maybe that 160 to 171. At 160, 171, that I could maybe do a 1 hour comp and maybe give them 1 for 1. And
It'd be considered straight time.
Right, consider
Oh.
straight time.
Then we would show it separately on the
And-
time
and-
sheet.
Yes, yes.
And of course, like I said, it's brought to my attention. I knew I wasn't doing nothing wrong, but when it's brought to, they worked out 160, 171, there's that 11 hours, they don't have nothing, it's just like a given.
Right.
And I know
But that can be done.
I just talked to Dwayne, and he's come from another county before he became chief of police. I've talked to Dwayne, I've talked to Jody, I've talked to some other people. And like up there where he came from, that other county, he said it was a given, just like what we're doing right now, the minimum. And because we're law enforcement, we're firefighters, whatever, it's given. But as they have, when they came into being under the city, he went to a flat 40-hour week.
We're flat 40.
Flat 40, anything over 40 is time and a half or 1 time and a half.
Anything over 41, you're overtime.
You're overtime.
So
So,
we do it on a 40-hour week.
and that's what I want to bring to the attention, that we're not doing nothing wrong here. It's just that 11 hours that it's a kind of a given.
But like Pete was talking about, that's still their lunch, their breaks, they get to take their cars home.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, we pay for their gas to get to and from work.
And that's a safety area right there for the citizens. The reason we take their cars home because people live all over the county, okay? If they live all over the county, the response time, if they're, you know, go home, if we need extra people, they can have that car right there instead of having to driving whatever 15, 20 miles inside the county to get to their office. Because right now, by thanking the Commissioner's Court again, we got vehicles for everybody. I mean, it's their own personal vehicle.
I understand what you're saying.
Yes, ma'am.
But we just gave your officers, your deputies, your department large raises.
Yes, ma'am.
And we did not give anybody else that large a raise.
And I thank you
We
from the
amended
bottom of
your
my heart.
budget
I
By
thank you from the
$500,000 to make everything workable.
Yes, ma'am.
And if we're going to treat everybody the same here, then maybe we all want to be paid like SAPD and UPS. Maybe our auditor wants to make that money, or, you know, whatever, but I just think your timing's bad, Sheriff. I mean, I think we've done a lot.
Well,
for you.
it's not, it has nothing to do with timing, and he's been doing right this whole time.
I'm just saying to ask for more.
He's not asking for more, he's asking for fairness for the 5.5 hours.
But I just asked Mary Ann if that was fair, and she said what we're doing is not wrong.
Well,
So,
but nobody said it was wrong, we're just trying to be fair.
Then it is fair. If it's not illegal, it's fair. We can't, if we
Making
can't.
it yes, it's legal, but it's not fair, Barbara. They're giving you 11 free hours and not everybody gets more. Some deputies do, especially on transports. You know, he has a lot of transports, and hopefully once we get to jail, that'll cut. You know, they're giving you 10 or 11 free hours.
So other counties are unfair and other cities are unfair.
We're not other counties, we're not other.
That's right, and we just
we're
gave them
Karnes
large raises to cover that 10 hours. These guys just got the biggest raises.
It didn't cover those 10 hours. It doesn't cover those 10 hours.
Did you not just say that the salary was included to cover that, Mary Ann? Did I misunderstand?
If you do something like this, you always have to say your salary's intended to cover up to 171 hours, 28
So the
days,
salary is intended to
or
cover it.
How do we
86
divide their
or
hourly
14.
rate, Fulham?
So, yeah.
On
You have
how
to
many
word it
hours of the
correctly.
year that they work?
Yeah.
It's based on the flat rate of 2080.
A 2080.
Because law enforcement has that added quirk. My question with that is, if we're gonna go to compensating hour for hour for hour for hour, then why don't we go to 40-hour work weeks for them? So they are off for lunch hours. They're getting 5.5 free hours technically per pay period, but they don't show anything for lunches. Well, if they work 5 days out of that pay period, that's 5 hours of that free time they're getting. They don't show breaks, although other employees don't show breaks on timesheets either. But I just want to bring something. Barbara already mentioned the big salary increases, jailer, dispatchers, deputies, jail administrator, chief deputies, and sheriff and investigators got, not the clerical staff in the sheriff's department. But my contention has always been when people quit and the payoff that we have to do on accumulated comp, vacation, and holiday pay. And I've got 3 different instances. We paid off a person just recently to the tune of $8,005.08 just for hours. Social Security on that was $612.39, and retirement match on that was $1,058.27 for a total expense to the county $9,675.74.
Wanda, how long did that, excuse me, but how long did that person work for the sheriff's department?
I couldn't tell you that.
It's probably since 2005, I think. Is that the last, you're talking about the last deputy?
No, last employee. Child administrator.
Oh, okay. She's been with me since 2006.
Okay, another example. Another example that we paid off a deputy that left in March of 2011. Comp, vacation, and holiday hours was $14,560.99. FICA match on that, which is Social Security and Medicare, $1,113.92. Retirement, $1,807.02. The gross expense to the county for that employee's departure, $17,481.93. Those kind of things kill a budget.
But can't you cap those hours?
Yes, on the federal comp time, which is the true overtime, that has to be paid. You can't get around that. When someone leaves employment, and you have a cap on that, it's possible there might have been above the cap and you had to do some things there, but you have to pay that out. And it's paid out when someone leaves employment or they quit or whatever, or they pass away, it's paid out. And it's paid out at the regular rate of when you pay it out, not when it was earned. It could have been earned 10 years ago, a minimum wage, but it's paid out at today's rates. This stuff, this other time that we're talking about, y'all set the rules on that if you decide to do this. You set the rules and you say, we will never pay that out, or maybe we're just gonna have a cap of 50 hours of that yearly. You know, but this is a policy that if you approve it or decide to go this route, y'all set the parameters around that type of policy, and it's based solely, and I've got the reg, solely on local law, local policy. So, but it's not the overtime stuff, you have to pay that out.
And I would think, Sheriff, with you having more deputies, that's gonna cut that.
Well, that's gonna cut the comp
down.
time, just like the one she talks about here. He's been with me since February the 1st, 2005. He was an investigator. That's why I came to Commissioner's Court. Y'all been here when you was, I kept coming out, I need to make him administrator. I'm kind of motioning to Jeff over here. He was one of my commissioners at the time when all this was brought up. I said, could y'all go ahead and give me a little bit of stuff here? I can make most of this time administrative, and being an investigator, he could be administrative because he'd be over the deputies. So they have to go in chief, they have to sergeant investigator, which I have now. So that's what I wanted, and give him a little bump in rate. I said, no way. That's the man that, he was my investigator, and he never went off.
Can we set accumulation of comp time?
Yes, sir, we can.
Well, there's a law that says.
We can limit that so they can't collect this large amount in the.
No, sir.
No.
If someone
earn it,
physically
they
works
pay it.
overtime, the physical overtime, no sick days or anything,
Right.
physically hands in the dirt work, you are obligated by federal law to pay overtime in cash, or because you're public sector, you can have a comp time policy, which is what you're doing. The way to control that is just to manage it, if you can. You know, and this is why this law exists. This is the very first question when you asked today, the 207K, so that you have a longer time frame in which to control what's going on. Because in law enforcement, you don't know what can happen, or in fires, you just don't know what can happen at any moment. in a courthouse, it's an 8 to 5 type deal, and you can kind of control that a little better, but it's just different, and that's why the law recognizes that, and they have that exception for law enforcement.
And during the time, and thank y'all again for all the officers you give me, the raises and everything, but during that time, when all this was accumulated, we was like 6 deputies, and that was it. They was working 24/7, and crime was just rampant. We've kind of got a handle on it now, but back then, he was my sergeant investigator, and he continued. I could not, we tried to let him go, but they would always call him back. He was the investigator for the department, which is, you know, everything that was happening in the county. He was an investigator. And when you try to let him off, he always was getting called back because he was the only investigator that I had at the time.
Does the county furnish uniforms for the
Yes.
police officers?
Yep.
They get a clothing allowance.
$50 a month.
And they get a car
Yep.
with gasoline?
Well, I guess I have one to know for you, which method is least costly for the county? Comp or overtime? Comp time or overtime?
We don't pay overtime.
Right, because we're doing
And the
comp.
discussion would
We
be-
could do overtime. No?
Yeah, you could, but it's not a feasible thing because we are a small department. There is no to be able to call them in. It would be almost an impossible situation to try and budget to pay overtime.
And just like night before last, I had people go home at the end of the shift, but I called everybody out because it's a natural disaster. Some of them work 15, 18 hours. You know, I mean, it's a given. You've got to go when there's something going on. That's basically what it is.
Well, if we do this in like, with the straight time, we can put a cap on it?
Yes, it's called other time. Yes.
The other time.
Yes.
Don't you get paid like salary? I get paid a salary. I don't get no overtime, no comp time, or nothing like that.
Yeah.
I work salary, I might work 36 hours at one time. They didn't pay me no extra.
Right.
You
Elected
know,
officials.
but I might not work but 7 hours over here a day, you know what I mean?
And she said, she just told us, Tracy, we're very unusual animals.
Yeah.
And that's why the government gives us that leeway. She's telling us we have done nothing wrong. We're meeting criteria, we're working within our limits, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
And nobody ever said that we were doing anything wrong. It's the fairness of the 5.5 hours freebies that they were giving the county that was brought in question, and that's.
And then we also provide them cars, we provide them gas, they take their lunch breaks, we provide them uniforms. There's perks, there's pros and cons to everything. There's perks and no perks to everything. Just gave them large raises, trying to do as much as we can to make these departments work. But I just don't, I mean, if we keep giving and giving and giving, if we're gonna meet SAPD rules or whatever, I mean, we're here to meet these. I mean, I think we're trying. I don't think we've done anything wrong. I'm with Tracy.
I just want to say, since 9/11, I mean, everybody said, well, an officer, they make all that money. God, they make a lot of money. Well, when something happens like 9/11, buddy,
I know they put their life on the line.
you can't pay them enough money,
Right,
so.
at this point right now, I don't think we can do it. Thank you, Carmen.
Is that a motion, Tracy?
Yeah, I mean,
What's your motion? I lost my agenda.
take no action regarding this situation.
But I would like to see a policy. I
That's
think-
foolish. That's a foolish comment. Y'all made a bad mistake on doing
Okay, thank you.
I would like to see a policy with the sheriff's department. I think the sheriff, you're working with Marion, kind of tweak a policy. It kind of helps my office with paying and stuff too.
You made a motion, we take no action, Tracy? Well, I don't
we don't
think we need
take
a motion on no action.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Judge, can I leave this stuff with you? 'Cause-
Surely you
Okay,
may.
I'm gonna
But just
leave
for
things with-
clarification, how long has it been like this? And I mean, other counties do this.
This since,
And we're not doing anything
First
wrong.
Fair,
And nobody ever said we did it.
First Standard Labor Act, it's been going on, I think, since 1992. This has been going on since 1992. And like I said, everybody changes, like Dwayne, he's going to the 40 hours to get away from this. But there we go again. Y'all, the governing board, I'm glad it's brought to y'all's attention, you know what it is, but I also thank y'all for the raises, the people, the equipment. I'm just following through with,
Put it back on there again one of these days, maybe next budget time, we might be able to work it.
I appreciate
And if we
it.
have
I
the
think
people,
so,
and we
but,
get the officers up, we won't have this overtime out of control, and then roll it constantly amending your budget. And then other departments, we might hear different in here, but other departments want to be treated equally, and I get those phone calls, they want the same treatment you're getting, you know?
This is discussion.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
like preferential treatment.
I'm not totally against it, but I just.
The next
Put out a
item,
bunch right now.
number 16, the next item on the agenda is to discuss, approve, disapprove rental of 3/4 of an acre with Karnes County Precinct Number 3 yard to Luke Patton. The property is identified as .750 acre more or less, which is the southern half of the precinct yard. Highway 80 is the western boundary. The Patton property is southern and eastern boundary. The terms are $350 per month, preferably paid by month for a minimum of 24 months. Usage, yard to be used strictly for the purpose of passenger vehicle parking. And the author is Luke Patton. The one we advertised that, right?
Yes.
And
Didn't receive any bids, right?
No.
I talked to Luke, he said that he didn't know what that bids, he didn't see it in the paper or whatever. I did ask him, and that would be, like, retain the sheds for the county use of storage and leave enough space to back in and drive in and out of them. I asked Luke if he would put a pipe in there and stretch a wire, put some steel posts on there and have some flags on it, just to divide it over, not a fence, but just a divider. He said, you know, just, so, I don't find anything wrong with it. He's been wanting to rent this for over a year already.
And it has been advertised, there's no, no interest shown, so. Advertising is close enough to this.
He's gonna make his yard smaller. No, this is out of Gillette.
Oh, Gillette.
Gillette.
Gillette, yeah.
it comes up against his project.
Yeah, he wants that large.
I was looking over there, James, over here, so.
He wants that large.
So therefore, I would make a motion that we rent this property to Luke Patton as presented in item number 16.
I second the motion.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposition. Motion carries 4-0. The next item on the agenda, one, is to pay bills. Is that the major? Oh, you didn't put the little stamp on here. Huh? I didn't say you had to go put it on there. I just said it wasn't.
The only things out of the ordinary are some insurance premiums. On page 1, about 2/3 of the way through, you'll see $11,117. That's payable to Texas Association of County. That is the public officials liability.
Luana, we just ordered flags again from Dixie Flag Company.
Yes.
But you know, the reason I'm asking, somebody brought me two.
That's part of them. that
No,
we're
no, no,
ordering.
no, I've had these for a while. I mean, I've been carrying them around with me, so I can give y'all those back, so we don't have to be ordering flags.
Okay. If you go to page 3, you'll show at the bottom of the page $16,397. That's for our law enforcement liability. Page 6 is the total dollars paid out of Road and Bridge regular, $51,998.96. That does not include any materials. Those are on page 8, paid out of Road and Bridge special, $51,940.41.
Here, you have all fuel tanks full,
Yes, sir.
38,000 for fuel.
Diesel's on.
So the total expenditures on this cycle is $253,909.70.
I make a motion, we pay bills as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The next item on the agenda is to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. See you guys next time.
More stuff for Jerry and
Next time.
10 days.
Okay.